Hey everyone, this is the next part to the SpongeBob Conspiracy number 5. No, never mind. Sorry. I thought for sure that the recording system broke. Making sure everything's okay at the moment. Everything looks fine. Audio's coming out okay. The imagery is coming out good. Frames are alright. CPU's okay. Yeah, I think I'm good. Anyway, this is the SpongeBob Conspiracy compilation. We're on conspiracy number 5. The Neptune theory. I'm just making sure that everything's okay at the moment, as I said. Yeah. Today we're reacting to, if we're doing the regular video upload and not the compilation that I've been doing. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Everything's still good. Yeah, this time we're reacting to Neptune theory and Grandpat mini theory. I can't say I haven't watched a lot of that, because from the image I'm just seeing, this is, I guess, the Patrick Star show? Supposedly that's supposed to be prologue or a prequel to the SpongeBob series. So, yeah, that's a thing. And as always, a few things for those that are watching this as a video. On Tuesday, these two theories, that is, basically reminder of what's going on. And for those that don't know what's going on, I decided to watch all the Alex Bale conspiracy theories involving SpongeBob from this compilation. Things that are different this time are Alex Bale is gonna make comments on new stuff, new discoveries, and or things he wanted to tweak about the theories here and there, and little comments like that, and all that kind of stuff, and so on. Was that a confusing bit right there? I hope not. Well, yes, that's what's going on. So I'm not really gonna do any of the main theory kind of weights. I'm just gonna wait till we get to the parts that Alex Bale has edited in, basically the new stuff. I already reacted to all these conspiracies 1 through 8. The only things I haven't reacted to are the new stuff and the mini theories. So that's the parts I'm gonna really talk about, either from what I can recall of myself reacting to the theory the first time, to what I think about the new information that are being added. I mean, I could cut in and try to maybe, I don't know. And as always, I'm reacting this from beginning to end. For those that are seeing every clip for every week, one theory is 1 week, the next one's the next week, and so on and so forth. You're all looking at it that way, but in actuality, I'm actually reacting to all 8 of these conspiracy theories, the mini theories, and anything in between that Alex Bale has put in between all this stuff. I'm watching it all at once, so just making it clear that if you do make a comment, I'm not gonna say it throughout this whole thing or any of the future ones, sadly. But if you have any videos you'd like to recommend that I should react to, I'm gonna be watching out for that. And if you do, I'm gonna react to it and make a comment on that video. So if you want to be alerted when that comes out, hit the notification button, be notified immediately when it comes out. Hit the subscribe button, support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to give Alex Bale some love and support for all the conspiracies that he made, the compilation that he has to make, all the new information he had to add, and so on and so forth. Because this guy worked a lot on this one, and he provided 8 mini theories, which is a lot. Yeah, be sure to give Alex Bale some love and support for all the hard work he has done for this SpongeBob Conspiracy compilation. Now, with this all said, let's start with the first theory we have here, the Neptune theory.
So, the continuity with King Neptune is a bit of a mess. There are 2 different King Neptunes. There's a King Poseidon. There's 3 different royal palaces. 2 of them are called the City of Atlantis, but there's also a 3rd unrelated City of Atlantis. It's confusing.
Oh yeah, if you hear something that sounds like water or something, that's me getting a drink real quick, because 2 hours and 8 minutes in, and my throat is dry as heck, and it's a bit sore. So I'm doing what I can to make sure that I can do all this when in the
To
one
say
day.
the least. But there is actually a way to explain how all of this is intentional and connects together. This is a story of power, deception, and betrayal. This is the Neptune Theory. King Neptune is the ruler of the seven seas and the Roman god of the ocean. If you watch my evolution theory, you know there's also a good chance he's the reason why fish in Bikini Bottom are so evolved and able to talk. He lives in the city of Atlantis with his wife Queen Amphitrite and his son Triton, but in the first SpongeBob movie, he's replaced by a completely different King Neptune who has a completely different daughter named Mindy. These guys don't look or sound at all the same, so how can they both exist in this universe? Well, there's already an interesting theory out there about this. It's widely believed that the SpongeBob movie takes place in the future after the events of the show. So widely believed that I got hundreds of comments about it in my Mrs. Puff theory. Yep, I know guys, I heard what you said. The creator of SpongeBob, Steven Hillenburg, said he wanted to end the series with the movie, and it being canonically at the end of the SpongeBob timeline would explain why we never see the Krusty Krab 2, or any of the other characters from the movie in the later SpongeBob episodes. And some people believe that the reason why movie Neptune is so different is because he's actually Neptune's son, Triton, all grown up. And that's a pretty cool theory, but I don't buy it. Other than Triton looking nothing like movie Neptune, I've never actually believed that the SpongeBob movie takes place in the future. Despite there being many people who commented about it on my Mrs. Puff theory as if it was a proven fact, there's never actually been any official confirmation of it. Steven Hillenburg only said that he wanted to stop making SpongeBob after the movie. He never said anything about where the movie actually takes place in the timeline of the show. And we do actually briefly see Neptune's daughter Mindy show up later in the show in SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. There's no way she'd be there unless the show took place after the events of the movie. You know, I still get this comment to this day, like people really think this is like an indisputable proven fact. I do have some really interesting new evidence about the movie being fake and when it takes place in the timeline, but it's just too complicated to bring up here, so I'm gonna save it for the mini theory.
The Squidward director theory. Not the next one, but the next one. What? Oh, the next one. So that means it's tied in with the Goofy Goober theory. Huh. Well, I guess that's gonna be a bit disappointing, not gonna lie. I honestly kinda hope we would get, like, tied with this one, but I don't know. I thought whatever information would be tied in with this mini theory. But I guess not. Guess we'll find out.
I think what's actually going on here with Neptune is something much more interesting, and it ties directly in with the television theory. If you haven't seen that video, it basically proves that the entire show, SpongeBob SquarePants, is actually a nature documentary being filmed by scuba divers, and many of the elements we see throughout the series are secretly set up by the showrunners to make sure that the show is more entertaining and profitable. And this applies to the SpongeBob movie as well. There's promotional art and even a commercial that acknowledges the fact that it's just a movie being filmed.
Hello? SpongeBob, what kind of jellyfish is that?
Hey guys, it's Carlos from the Zone. Can you tell us about your latest adventure?
Well, this one adventure we had was a real Lulu.
You mean when we went after Neptune's crown? It seemed bigger than our usual adventures.
Yes, and with fewer interruptions.
Well, thanks guys. We'll see you in the movie.
Movie? What's that?
I know.
I think the real reason why Neptune looks so different in the movie is because the filmmakers couldn't get the real King Neptune, the literal god of the sea, to show up for a movie. So they hired an actor to pretend to be the king. And there is actually a ton of evidence in the show to support this. King Neptune is supposed to live in the great city of Atlantis, but in the movie he just lives in some random sandcastle, almost like they just built a discount version for the movie. But the real evidence comes from season 10, episode 18, Lost and Found, where SpongeBob goes beneath the Krusty Krab to look for something in the Lost and Found. As he searches through this surprisingly massive collection of items, on one of the shelves we see something mind-blowing. The crown worn by King Neptune in the SpongeBob movie. The entire plot of the movie hinges on the fact that Neptune thinks Mr. Krabs stole his crown. Why would Mr. Krabs have this now? Because this isn't just the Krusty Krabs Lost and Found. It's also where they store the props used by the SpongeBob SquarePants filmmakers to create the SpongeBob movie. If you remember from my television theory, Mr. Krabs is secretly working for the showrunners to spy on all the main characters. And his secret surveillance room was hidden beneath the Krusty Krab, just like this Lost and Found. So it makes perfect sense for the showrunners to hide their props down here. here. And if you still don't believe me, we also see SpongeBob's guitar, the Goofy Goober peanut hats, and the magical bag of wind. All items from the movie that would make no sense being down here unless this was the showrunner's prop storage, and the movie King Neptune was just an actor. Well, that's one Neptune down. Now for the real mystery, King Poseidon. In the third SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, the King of the Sea is yet again replaced by a new character, King Poseidon, the Greek god of the ocean. He actually does live in the city of Atlantis, except instead of the ancient royal architecture, it's a giant casino designed to make money. It'd be easy to say that these are just two separate kings that rule different areas of the sea, but they both claim to be the ruler of the seven seas. Alright, I don't have too much to add to this theory, but I just want to mention that I do know that in mythology, Neptune and Poseidon are the same person, just with different names.
Oh, yeah.
But my point is, in SpongeBob, they are clearly supposed to be two completely different people. That's kind of the whole point of this theory. So,
Yeah, I remember that bit. I think it was this tidbit that got me back into looking into mythology. But yeah, it's a weird one. I'm gonna be honest. Because for the Greeks, Poseidon was the god of the sea, and for the Romans, it was Neptune that was god of the sea, and all that. But the thing is, in most cases, from what I hear, the Romans and the Greeks all worship the same person as the god of the sea. It's just that they just gave him a different name and a different title and all that. With the only, but no, not title, because technically all the titles are technically the same for both of them, right? I can't remember on the top of my head on that one, but yeah, from what I hear, they worship the same person. They just call him by two different names. That's basically it, really.
how can two different characters both be the king of the same seven seas? The answer to that question actually has to do with a place called Camp Coral. Throughout the third SpongeBob movie, we keep cutting back to flashbacks of a younger SpongeBob and all the other characters when they all went to summer camp together. This was all to set up a spin-off show called Camp Coral that followed these younger characters. Now at first, I just wrote the show off as SpongeBob following the trend of making all their characters younger to appeal to a younger demographic. It's been done before and it's never very good. They also completely contradict the continuity of the main show by having characters like Sandy and SpongeBob meet as kids when we know they actually met as adults in the main show. Look, I am having a hard enough time figuring out this show's continuity on its own. I do not need another show full of contradictions to make it even harder. But the creators actually did something very clever to make the continuity work. The 7th episode of Camp Coral ends with one of the biggest plot twists I've ever seen from the show. So in this episode, SpongeBob actually discovers the Krabby Patty secret formula way before it was supposed to be created by Mr. Krabs. But at the end of the episode, it gets accidentally destroyed by Sandy, and then we get this mind-blowing scene.
This is Little Cheeks calling Big Cheeks. This is Big Cheeks receiving you from the future. Your plan worked perfectly. The formula burned out before Mr. Plankton could nab it. I knew sending you to Camp Coral was the right thing to do. Bye, future me. Mission accomplished, timeline preserved.
So Sandy used time travel to send her past self to Camp Coral so that she could make sure the Krabby Patty formula didn't get discovered before it was supposed to. They actually figured out a way to make this messed up continuity make sense. Don't you dare tell me this show doesn't care about its continuity. Can I also just say that this scene lines up perfectly with my television theory? A major part of that theory is that Sandy is actually a spy working for the showrunners and is secretly making sure everything stays on track. And then what do we see a month after I post my theory? Sandy secretly manipulating everyone to keep the show on track. Just gonna give myself a little pat on the back there.
He's enjoying himself. I love that.
But enough gloating. What does any of this have to do with King Poseidon? Well, this proves that Camp Coral and the movie that sets it up are in an alternate timeline. The events that have taken place in the show are not the same events in this movie. The continuity errors like Sandy and SpongeBob meeting, or Poseidon being the king of the sea instead of Neptune, can be explained by this shift in the timeline. So there you go. King Poseidon and King Neptune are from completely separate timelines. That's why we never see any reference to King Poseidon in the show. And that is the Neptune theory. Huh, I mean that wasn't so hard. I guess I'm done here.
Neptune stirred up quite a gale tonight. He must be mad about something.
That's silly.
Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea. Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea.
They're in the same timeline.
Why can't anything ever be easy? This is the clip that really made me decide to make this theory. The beginning of Season 5, Episode 19, Spongehenge, shows two fish arguing over whether Neptune or Poseidon is the real ruler of the sea. It's like the creators are directly telling us that both of these characters somehow exist in the same timeline, and it's our job to figure out how the puzzle pieces fit together. So, let's take a look. Despite both of these characters having similar appearances and personalities, there is one very important difference between them. Poseidon doesn't have powers. We've seen many times that King Neptune has magical abilities that he can use at any time, even without his trident. But in the entire third SpongeBob movie, we never see Poseidon use any powers or magical abilities, except for lighting up his trident, but all he has to do for that is just flip a switch, and we know from the episode Trident Trouble that you don't even need to be a god to use the trident. And at the end of the third movie, we find out Poseidon is actually in terrible shape. If you remember at the end of the episode Neptune's Spatula, Neptune briefly turned SpongeBob into a god, and we can see that having god powers gives you a perfect body. So why is Poseidon in such terrible shape? Because he doesn't actually have powers, only Neptune does. Even Neptune's wife, Queen Amphitrite, has to use technology to zap someone, unlike Neptune, who only has to use his finger in the exact same episode. He is clearly the only one with powers, but why? To answer this question, we first have to understand the origins of King Neptune. Now, throughout the show, there is very little information on Neptune's past. I read the Wikipedia, I looked through the comic books, the video games, but I just couldn't find anything that would help me. But then I remembered there are SpongeBob shorts, which are like mini episodes that only air once, usually to promote something. So I started looking to see if there were any that could help us, and lo and behold, there is a SpongeBob short called The Story of King Neptune. Yeah, I guess that could be helpful. This short is about SpongeBob telling Patrick the origins of King Neptune, but it's not entirely clear whether it's true.
The story of King Neptune. When King Neptune was a little Neptune, his mother set him adrift in a river. As he floated along, a radioactive meteor fell to Earth. An alien appeared and anointed the infant with super Neptune fluid.
Also, maybe the green radioactive meteor in SpongeBob's story is a reference to Neptune's moon, which also kind of gives off a green radioactive vibe.
Is that really the origin of King Neptune?
Sure.
So King Neptune was abandoned as a baby and then given his powers by aliens. But SpongeBob is holding an upside-down comic book, so it feels a lot like something he just made up. And SpongeBob is not the most reliable narrator. Unless there's something in the story that we can definitively prove, I don't think we can use it for a theory. Like, do you really expect me to believe that Neptune got his powers from aliens? I mean, we've never even seen aliens in the show before. Except, we have. And they just so happen to also live in a city called Atlantis. Season 5, Episode 12, Atlantis Squarepantis, we see another completely different Atlantis, the lost city of Atlantis, a city that's home to a race of aliens. The Atlantean aliens traveled billions of light years to come to this planet and build their city.
For reasons unknown, this great city disappeared one day, but no ruins were ever found. All the inventions you take for granted were given to us by the Atlanteans.
They were a peaceful race of aliens who shared their technology, but then mysteriously disappeared for some reason. And take a guess what we find when we look inside of that city. A massive sculpture of King Neptune. That story about aliens giving Neptune his powers doesn't sound so far-fetched now, does it? And that's not all we find.
Neptune's Ascension, the only surviving painting from the great lost city of Atlantis.
A painting created by the Atlanteans called Neptune's Ascension, aka Neptune ascending to his god status by being given powers by the Atlantean aliens. The story is definitely referencing this. There are too many connections for this to be a coincidence. So even though it's being told by SpongeBob, and details like the alien's appearance are wrong, the story itself is probably based on truth. And there's also a lot of evidence to support the idea that Neptune was abandoned as a baby. In Clash of Triton, Neptune is watching a soap opera in his bedroom and gets upset when his wife turns it off.
Oh, Neptune, surely this isn't the behavior befitting a king, doing nothing but watching daytime television.
Wait! Rochelle was just about to meet her biological parents.
In the soap opera, Rochelle was just about to meet her biological parents. Maybe the real reason why Neptune's so invested in the soap opera is because he's never met his biological parents either. There's even tissues on the table next to him as if he's been crying. So I was watching a new season 14 episode, and we briefly see this random lady living alone in a rundown cabin in the woods, and I think she might actually be Neptune's mom. Obviously, she's not a royal mermaid like from the story, but we don't know how much we can trust the visuals of that story. She's got the same skin and hair color, but the main thing that caught my eye was this photo of Neptune on her wall. I don't know, obviously there's not really much evidence here. I just thought it was kind of interesting and might be worth bringing up.
Wait, what else did it say?
I don't know, obviously there's not really much evidence here. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
I can kinda picture Neptune's mom as someone who's sad and alone, living with regrets after seeing her abandoned son become king of the sea. Just some rank. Okay, so it's speculation. Okay, honestly, this theory, to this point, really has some stuff that you made me laugh, as you heard with the whole Neptune and Poseidon thing. It's a hilarious thing. I'm not gonna lie about that, because I guess when I first heard that they were both in the same timeline, I was actually stunned because I couldn't recall the episode where I heard it from. But now I do. Now I do. It was the one episode where SpongeBob kept making sounds that attracted jellyfish, and because of that, well, he just couldn't leave, like, at all. Like, I'm like, that's really it. That's it. Nothing else. That's literally it. Yeah. Can't believe I forgot about that episode back then. Did I forget? I think I forgot because I believe I remember myself being shocked by it. But this this is a new one. I mean, it's possible, but like, you then have to question how old can someone from SpongeBob universe can become? Like, can they be 100 years old and be okay? Is it gonna take a bit longer? That kind of thing. I mean, that kind of stuff probably will help make or break the whole theory.
Thing and might be worth bringing up. And the idea that Neptune was abandoned as a baby works perfectly with the mythology in the show. Neptune is the Roman god of the sea, but he is the only reference to Roman mythology in the show. Everything else we see is from Greek mythology. In the episode Trident Trouble, we see a Greek chorus.
Behold, we are the Greek chorus. We narrate this epic tale.
Neptune once mentioned Zeus, the Greek god of thunder.
So I say, look, Zeus, either you come up with more money, or Neptune walks.
He also mentions Apollo, the Greek god of the sun.
Now behold, my beloved home of Atlantis. A prize worthy of Apollo.
I guess Apollo is both a Roman and a Greek god?
Yeah, that's the thing. That also helps prove that the Romans and the Greeks worship the same person and just called them by different names. Because of that. Except, Apollo had a secondary name, yet the Romans had to say, I think it was, something Apollo, or Apollo something. Something like that. But yeah, that's the only thing I can really comment on this one.
Sorry about that, Apollo fans, that's my bad. Even in the city of Atlantis where Neptune lives, there's a building named the Poseidon, clearly named after Poseidon. So Neptune is clearly the outsider here, which is why he was abandoned as a baby. But if the sea is actually ruled by Greek mythology, then Poseidon should be the true heir to the throne. Why is Neptune the king in the show? Because after Neptune was given his god powers by aliens, he returned to Atlantis and stole the throne from Poseidon. This would explain why there's so much confusion over who the real king is.
Neptune stirred up quite a gale tonight.
Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea.
Legally, Poseidon should be the king, but Neptune took it by force. And that's not all he took from Poseidon. Neptune's wife, Queen Amphitrite, is the goddess of the sea. The Greek goddess of the sea, aka the wife of Poseidon. God damn, Neptune stole his wife and his throne. That is cold. God damn, Neptune stole his wife and his throne.
Is this the stereo girl?
The Greek goddess of the sea, aka the wife of Poseidon.
No!
Damn,
No way!
Okay, gonna interrupt here. So, some people have pointed out that the show's King Neptune is referred to as Neptune the 14th in Season 4's Krusty Towers.
This room is hideous. Redesign it. Neptune the 14th will be nice. What?
And yeah, that does kind of feel like it contradicts my theory a bit, but I don't know, I still think it could work. Like, he could be from a long line of Neptunes, but also could have been abandoned by his mother for whatever reason. The two aren't mutually exclusive. Maybe his Roman parents were trying to protect him somehow from the Greek gods in charge of the sea. I don't know, this theory's already full of enough random speculation. I don't really want to add anymore. And eventually, everyone did recognize Neptune as the rightful king. The pink fish who seemed adamant about Poseidon being the king completely changes her mind one season later in Clash of Triton.
Wait a minute, King Neptune is coming here? Oh, I'm a huge fan of the royal family. I just love everything they do.
And that is the real story of King Neptune. The reason why Poseidon is king in the third movie is probably because in that timeline, Neptune was never given his god powers, so he never stole the throne from Poseidon. Although, seeing as how Poseidon turned Atlantis into a big casino cash grab city, maybe it's a good thing Neptune took over.
The lost city of Atlantic City.
And that is the Neptune theory. That was a tough one, but we are finally done. See you next time, guys. Wait, why is Poseidon City called the Lost City of Atlantic City?
The lost city of Atlantic City.
I mean, the Atlantic City Park makes sense. That's a reference to the real-life Atlantic City, but why is it called the Lost City? There is nothing lost about the city. It seems like everyone's easily able to find it. The only other reference to a lost city of Atlantis is the one with the aliens that gave Neptune his powers. Nope, I don't care. I'm done with this theory. I don't need to answer every single little question. I am 100% done. Fine, okay? One more quick part just to tie up all the loose ends, and then I am done. Alright, here we go. So we know before the Atlantean aliens mysteriously disappeared, they shared their technology with the creatures of the sea. I think the self-proclaimed gods of the sea got their technology, like tridents and their other weapons, from the Atlantean aliens. In fact, the Atlantean guards even use golden tridents as their weapons. That's why the gods named their city Atlantis, to pay tribute to the Atlanteans that gave them their technology. But all of that changed when Poseidon became king of the sea. He betrayed the Atlanteans and used their own weapons against them to conquer their home and turn it into a casino city. That's why Poseidon City is called the Lost City, even though it's not lost. It's referencing the Atlantean city that was conquered by Poseidon. And the reason why the Atlanteans gave god powers to some random abandoned baby in the main timeline was so that Neptune could take the throne from Poseidon and prevent him from conquering the alien city. And the reason why the Atlantean city mysteriously disappeared was because they hid it so no one could ever try and conquer them again. And that is the Neptune theory. I am done. So, the Neptune theory. This was and still is the most difficult theory I have ever had to piece together by far. There is just so much inconsistent and contradictory information about these characters. Finding a way to actually tell a coherent story with them is not an easy task. Where are we gonna put this one? 6th place. I still think it's a believable theory, but there's just a lot of assumptions and speculation, and sometimes it gets really convoluted and hard to follow, especially when
6th place, huh? Well, yeah, I can see it. Don't get me wrong, the theory is interesting, but the evidence is like, well, not much, really. I mean, it ties in with the television theory. That's good. But other than that, there's not much to really say. I mean, it's not like we saw the first Neptune of the bunch, the one in the middle right there. We haven't seen him a whole lot. We've seen him a number of times, but not a lot. And we only know of Poseidon through the one movie, and we only know of the fake Neptune through, well, just the SpongeBob movie. That's it. Like, everything else is not really, well, how do I say it? It's vague? I think that would be the correct word to use. Vague? It's a bit hard to say, in all honesty, but yeah. Plus, it doesn't leave a lot convincing on the blunt side of things, I guess. That's something you want to hear, but yeah. Alright, time to see what this mini theories about.
When we get into different branching timelines and talking about what is and isn't canon. But hey, I did the best I could with the messy evidence they gave me. I don't think there is a clean and simple way to connect all of these characters, and I'm proud of what I came up with. On to the next mini theory. So, in 2021, Nickelodeon released a new spin-off show all about Patrick, called The Patrick Star Show.
Hi, I'm Patrick Star, and I live with my parents. This is my dad. This is my mom. This is my sister. This is my grandpa. And this is my show.
And I was really interested in it because it seems to kind of acknowledge the fact that it is a TV show, with Patrick actually being filmed and putting on a show as part of the plot of each episode.
Coming to you from the Star Family home, it's time for the Patrick Show! And here's your wide-awake host,
But it's weird. It's supposed to be a prequel when Patrick was still living with his family, but the Patrick's parents and sister characters that were established in the main show have been replaced by completely different people in this spin-off. This has been a long-running mystery about the Patrick Star Show that many people have asked me to talk about, but a storyboard artist for the Patrick Star Show actually addressed these contradictions in a very funny Twitter thread where he offers many different possible explanations for why Patrick's family looks different. These range from Patrick just perceiving reality differently, to him just assuming whatever starfish is closest to him is his family, to some kind of crazy timeline manipulation. But my favorite is just that they were recast by the in-universe showrunners, and Patrick's too dumb to notice. Also, casual television theory confirmation, no biggie, we're used to it at this point. Now, I watched a good amount of this show when it was first coming out, and there wasn't really too much here for me to analyze, except for one very interesting character. Grandpat, and it ties directly in with my Neptune theory. Grandpat is allegedly Patrick's grandfather, even though we've never heard about him until now.
Mom, Dad, who's this guy?
I'm your grandfather, Grandpat. Must we do this every morning?
He's sort of a generic, cranky old man character who's apparently somehow been alive since prehistoric times.
Back in my day, we were food. It was way back in the Patrolithic period of early cave stars.
But he's not really that notable or interesting of a character, or that's at least...
That's a bit of evidence that I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't really watch all that much of the Patrick Show. You could say I barely watched it. I seen bits and pieces, but that's really all I can say about the Patrick Show. To say that I know every episode by heart is a bold-faced lie. I don't. So yeah. Other than that, not much to really say. But yeah.
At least what I thought, until I noticed something strange in the episode Squidina's Little Helper.
Sounds like we're doing a puppet show. Follow me. The secret crawl space runs all over the house.
As characters move through a crawl space in Patrick's house, one of them briefly opens the door and finds a weird secret room full of Roman architecture with Grandpat inside.
Who's a hungry boy? Dig in so you can grow up big and bristly.
The puppets are this way.
It's kind of a weird throwaway gag, but there's not really much to it, and they immediately move on with the episode without ever addressing it again. But something about this tiny, insignificant moment really stuck with me, even months after watching this episode. And when I watched it again, I couldn't help but notice that the door leading to the room is labeled XIV, the Roman numerals for 14, for seemingly no reason. Is this supposed to be the 14th room in the house, or what? But then I remembered, we've heard the number 14 before, in the Season 4 episode, Krusty Towers.
This room is hideous. Redesign it. Neptune the 14th will be nice.
What?
King Neptune is also referred to as the 14th. Is it possible that there's some sort of connection between Grandpat and King Neptune? I mean, that's even the way you would write a king's ordinal number, with the Roman numerals XIV. Also, the room is full of fancy royal Roman architecture, and the way Grandpat is relaxing and eating grapes like a king. Hear me out, hear me out. Is it possible Grandpat is King Neptune? We know Neptune has the power to change the way people look. What the? And it would explain why Grandpat, just a normal sea star, is able to be alive as far back as prehistoric times. He even has a prehistoric drawing of a starfish wearing a crown in his bedroom. This could even explain why they thought Patrick was a descendant of royalty in Rule of Dumb.
Which makes you a descendant of royalty. You are a king.
But wait a second. Why would the King of the Sea be pretending to be Patrick's cranky old grandpa? Well, remember, the Patrick Star Show is a prequel to the main series, and if you believe my Neptune theory, then you know Neptune wasn't always the King of the Sea. It's likely at some point he stole the throne and Poseidon's wife. So, what if this takes place before Neptune became king?
When King Neptune was a little Neptune, his mother set him adrift in a river.
When he was all alone, abandoned by his own mother, desperate to find the family that he was denied his whole life. So, how would he get one?
Huh. I think I get where you're going with this, and I have to admit, it does sound like an interesting theory. Like, I can see it happening, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, out of all the families, why Patrick's? Sure, they seem like a close together bunch, but I don't know. Probably think the King of the Sea would have a bit more, of, I don't know, class? Or might be a little picky on who he would want as, his so-called ideal family, so he can get some family love and all that, if that makes sense at the very least. I mean, it does to me, but I don't know to anyone else. Heck, I might be like I could be overestimating this. Like I could just be taking this way out of proportion.
Well, it turns out that there just happens to be one family in the sea that's dumb enough not to notice when new family members are added or replaced. The Patrick Star family. So, he transforms himself into the cranky old grandfather character, Grandpat, and secretly inserts himself into the family without their knowledge.
Who's this guy?
I have no idea. Do you, Cecil?
So you can see him too, Bunny? I thought I was the only one.
I'm your grandfather, Grandpat. Must we do this every morning?
Finally giving him the family love he's been searching for his entire life.
Grandpat! We love you.
And if this all still sounds far-fetched to you, listen closely to the music we hear in this scene.
Who's a hungry boy? Dig in so you can grow up big and bristly.
This small piece of music is called Roman Legions, composed by John Kakavas, and it was used only one other time in SpongeBob.
Who's a hungry boy?
Behold Neptune, god of the sea, with his mighty trident.
In the Season 10 episode, Trident Trouble, when they are introducing none other than King Neptune the 14th. Grandpat is King Neptune, and that is the Grandpat theory. Or, at least it was, until they released the episode Neptune's Ball, where we see King Neptune and Grandpat in the same room.
Man, I love your show!
Yeah. That would honestly, yeah. Now, that honestly breaks the theory. Because unless you can, like, give an explanation why, and back it up with evidence, it kind of, like, ruins the theory. So I can see where he is going when he mentions that it was until all this happened. Because, I don't know, I don't think Neptune has, like, time travel abilities. No, that wouldn't make sense. He's the god. Yeah, no. From what I can really think of on the top of my head, Neptune doesn't really have any abilities that relate to time travel.
And I'm really conflicted about this because yes, this obviously debunks my theory. Neptune and Grandpat can't be the same person if they're both in the same room. But then why does all of this evidence feel so specific and intentional? Like, most evidence I find can usually be explained as an Easter egg or a coincidence, but like, I can't think of any other reason why this random room would have the Roman numerals 14 on it. Maybe this was something they were setting up but changed their minds about, or maybe there's some sort of time travel shenanigans going on, because we know Patrick's family has a time machine in this show that they use all the time. Or maybe I'm just in denial and I'm overthinking small little random details. Like I've said, these are the theories that didn't make the cut for their own videos, so they're not all gonna be as strong as my main theories. But even if it's unlikely, I'm still gonna hold out hope that maybe I'll be proven right someday. Oh well, on to the next theory.
So that's it for this bit. Wasn't really a lot to really talk about, which I guess explains why this theory's in 6th place of the bunch. Yeah, wasn't really expecting that bit, but it's explainable. But I can admit, it was an interesting one. Plus, the grandpa theory, that actually did seem pretty cool. But I am gonna admit, it does seem a little far-fetched, because, like I said before, I don't know. I would think that Neptune would have high standards, because the way he reacted and every time we have seen him, it seemed like he had a lot of high standards and would only allow certain stuff to go if it went this certain way with him. At least that's what it seems like to me. I could be like totally wrong about it, and yeah. But other than that, not really much else to say. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when the video comes out. And yes, with all this said, hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.